Hi, my name is Sultana, and this is how I get Rockette ready. First, I start off with some foundation. The show is very intense, so I'd like to use one that has full coverage to make sure it doesn't go anywhere as we do all of our costume changes. So I apply it with my fingers, and then I just take my little sponge, wet it a bit, and I like to use a very full coverage foundation because we do a lot of costume changes throughout the show. So you want to make sure as you're sweating and changing costumes that it doesn't go anywhere. And I have a little bit of a damp sponge just to blend it in, which gives a nice glowy finish. Okay, once that's done, I use concealer just a little bit under the eye, and I try to pull upwards on my face to get a nice lifted look. And then I spot correct anything that needs a little bit extra coverage. And I actually mix two different colors for this, just to match my skin tone and brighten it up from stage. And again, go back in with my sponge and blend it all out. From there, I like to use a little bit of bronzer for contour. We don't want any harsh lines on the face, so I use a powder, and I just take my brush and do a little bit to enhance the cheekbones. And I draw it all the way up into the hairline. My hair is pretty dark, so it gives that nice smooth transition from the face. And then accentuate the jawline as well. Once that's done, I like to set everything that's already on my face, and I just take a little bit of translucent powder and dab it into any area that might be shiny. Especially during the show when we're dancing a lot and sweating, these areas tend to brighten up a bit, so I like to do a little damage control before the show starts. Next, I use a little bit of setting spray just to set the skin, because there's going to be a lot more makeup that goes on top, and you want to make sure that it stays. Okay, next is the best part, which is the eyes. First, I take a little bit of a gold nude color and put it all over my eyelid. I like to have a little bit of shimmer because I think it looks nice on stage. Next, I take just a little bit of highlighter in the inner corners to brighten up the eye. This will also make your eyes look a little bit more open from stage, especially with those harsh lights. And then I just rub it in with my fingers to make sure it's all blended. And now we do the lashes, which is, I think, the hardest part of the makeup routine. So I just take a little bit of glue, and I like to put it on the case of the lashes. And then I'll use a pin to spread it out onto the lash so that the line is not too thick. So I just get a nice, even, thin line, because you don't want too much glue to ruin the makeup you already have. I like to use this little eyelash applicator tool. This part helps you grab the lashes, and then the part underneath helps you smooth it out once it's on your eye. And then once it's there, I like to use my fingers to place it exactly where I need it. Sometimes you have to go back in with the tool as well. So now I'm just pressing the lash line into my eye to make sure the glue sticks in the correct place. Okay, that's done. Now I use a little bit of a darker shadow just to go into the crease and contour my eye a bit, because from really far back in the audience, it's hard to see face angles and shapes. So I like to take a darker color and just put it right in the crease of my eye, just to give a little shadow. Then you can also carry it out a little bit, because we're gonna do a winged eyeliner next, and this will help it blend all together. Okay. Next, I take my liquid eyeliner And I like to draw my wing over my eyelashes. I think it's easier for some reason. And I think that it helps the lash sit onto your face so that it looks more natural. So I like to start right almost at the end of my eye and pull outwards. And we're just eyeballing it here. There's no trick to this. I just pull it out a little bit so you can see it. And then I fill in the in-between. So you should have a little line on the outside like this. And then I like to go back in on top of the lash and cover up the part that got glued down so it looks like it's part of my natural eye. And then connect the two. Not bad. Next, I take a little bit of a pencil liner, and I like to do a little bit of eyeliner under the eye. I think from stage it helps your bottom lash line read a little bit thicker and fuller. So I just take a little bit and rub it along the lash line on the bottom. And I try to connect it almost all the way until that wing on the outside. You can also go in with this. The pencil liner is a little bit easier to use, and you can correct anything that you might have mistaken on the top liner. So I like to just pull it out a little bit from the corner and shade it with this to make it look a little bit darker and fuller. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Tarte Lights mascara, which is just the cutest packaging ever. I put mascara on with my eyelashes on because then I think it pulls the lashes together so that they look like they're a part of my natural lash line. And I like to look down into my mirror for this part because sometimes if you look up, the mascara gets stuck on the top of your eye and then you've just ruined your whole look that you did. And then I just do a little bit on the bottom. The eyes are complete. Next, I go in with a little bit of blush. I find that I tend to need a lot before I go on stage because the lights are so bright and white that the blush is really good for making your face look brighter and more alive. So I'm taking a cream blush and I just put it on my brush and dab it on my cheeks and a little bit up into the side area next to my eye. I also do a little bit on the nose. Then I just take whatever remainder blush is on my brush and I put it on my chin and on my forehead just to make sure my whole face has some color. Next, I use a very delicate small eyebrow pencil just to darken up the brows a little bit so that they're prominent when you're on stage. And I just fill in little gaps to create a nice shape. Then from here, just brush them out so that everything is falling into place. You can also use the tip of your brush to curve them so that the shape is nice and arched. Okay. Next, I like to do a little bit more setting powder because I think that once all your makeup is on, it's good to keep it set and make sure that it all stays in place. So I go back in again on my nose especially and forehead, places that get the shiniest. All done. Lastly, I like to go in with my red lip. This is probably one of my favorite parts besides the eyes, and it's definitely a part of the iconic Rockette look. I use 3 different products. First, I start with a lip liner, and I just use it to outline the lip first so I know the shape that I'm following. I feel like this also helps keep the shape during the show. Next, I go in with a lip stain. So this will not come off at all during the show. And there's a lot of different costume changes where you're bringing things over your head or you're drinking water backstage, and this doesn't move, which is perfect. And this I just put all over. And you want to try to totally cover up the lip liner Then we wait for that to dry. And you really want this to dry before you put the next part on top, or else it won't stick as well. So once you feel like that's dry, I go in with a little bit of a darker red just to take the hue down a little bit. I feel like it matches my skin tone a bit better. And I just dab a little bit on top of the rest of the makeup. And this is the final look. Thank you for getting ready with me today, and I'll see you at the show.